And we are live, gentlemen.
Hello.
Now for to talk about Babylon 5. Who are you? What do you want?
Where are you going? Why are you here?
Do you have any spare change? Now, today we're talking about the Babylon 5 pilot movie, The Gathering, and the first episode, Midnight on the Firing Line. First, we'll talk about
On the firing line.
that was the first episode, CT, the first episode of the show.
It's the title of the episode.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So I think it's only fair to start with The Gathering. It's a bit rough around the edges, but it's still a good pilot episode and introduction to the universe.
Yeah, it is. Bit darker in the lighting, if I remember.
Yeah, it was pretty
especially
dark.
in the council room. I
Yeah.
prefer how it looked in the show proper.
More
So-
light, please.
Yeah, Nick. Well, we saw that with Midnight on the Firing Line that there was more lighting. Do you have any first thoughts on any of the characters? No first thoughts?
I like the car.
I guess you could say he is gathering his thoughts.
Oh, with
Yeah,
his
we're gathering our thoughts.
The car.
you like how sneaky he is.
Yeah, the man is just like completely honest with himself. Like he's not even like hiding like any sort of like secret agenda or anything like that. He's just straight up tells you like, "Oh yeah, that's true."
Well, there was that time he wanted to mate with Lita to produce
Yeah.
a telepath.
Well, you can tell he was trying to do that under the table, considering Narns don't have any telepaths. So, I wonder how that happened.
So when oh no, that takes us into Midnight on the Firing Line territory. Is there anything in the gathering that we want to get into, like in great detail?
Any details you might have picked up from the movie? The one I know one thing I want to talk about is Londo's speech to Garibaldi, just like how far the Centauri Empire has fallen into the Centauri Republic. He's like basically a Napoleonic figure that's seen like the greatest days of his empire fall into disarray.
And now it's all become a tourist attraction.
As he said, yeah.
Centauri Republic.
And also, he kind of looks
Nine
like
to
that
five.
guy from Despicable Me.
Gru,
Oh
yeah.
yes, yeah. Our inside joke is that Londo every occasion tries to steal the moon.
Londo stands out as a character just based on like his voice, like his mannerisms, and just like his comedic just his comedic demeanor. It's really funny, but it's like you also take him seriously as a character because there have been like moments where he does stand out, where he's not just like a funny character, he's more than that. There's like layers.
I'm curious
Well,
as
like-
to what you think. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think
Yeah.
that's actually Londo when he's being the comedy act, or do you think that's a farce?
You know, as far as I've seen the TV pilot and the midnight episode, I'm not too sure. I'll have to see more to come up with
Yeah.
a
I-
conclusion.
All right, we'll table that
pers-
one for later.
I personally think it's a mix of both. I think there are moments when he's like gambling and like begging for money from like people like Garibaldi, where he's like
Oh yeah,
genuinely having fun with himself.
I think he genuinely enjoys himself. at
Yeah, and
times.
then
'cause,
like
because like the difference between him in the pilot movie and like him in like the midnight episode, we get to see like his comedic side, and then we get to see more of his like serious side. So it kind of tells me that he's more than what we initially make him out to be.
Well, it's
So I just-
again, this is a line you haven't heard yet, Nick. You'll hear it in later episodes.
Right.
But somebody says no one here is exactly who he appears.
Gotcha.
And one particular detail, I'm sure you all remember, is like when Sinclair was put on trial because of the vision Lita saw.
Mhm.
Because we all know it's a shapeshifter, obviously. Big
Yeah,
spoilers, everyone.
doppelganger.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and of course the wonderful detail. We'll talk about it later. But what I mean is like when Sinclair was on trial, Londo had to vote against him, and like he told Garibaldi, he's like, I'm genuinely sorry. Commander Sinclair is a good man, and I'd hate to lose him. I think he was being genuine in that moment, obviously.
Agree.
that was like you see the cynical side of Londo in the form of him, like we're no longer the great Centauri Empire that we were before, and then you have the moments where he's genuinely, like, I guess you would say, human.
Yeah,
Even for
you
an
get to see a
alien.
more like down to
Or
earth
Centauri.
version
Yeah.
of him.
So, I have one thing regarding Londo, and then another thing regarding who the changeling is at the end of the gathering. But actually, we can save my question for Londo when we get to Midnight on the Firing Line. But what do you think that Minbari meant when he said there is a hole in your mind?
That's what I said. Question for later for was that question. There was thought that there was a hole in your mind that he tells Sinclair before he dies.
Yeah, because like initially he was told like it was like an insult, but we're kind of given like this little info that there's more than meets the eye.
Well, even in the gathering, they mention Jakar names drops to Delenn the Grey Council, which you'll see more of later as we get through this series. But like, she literally put on like a thing of like a ring that like puts two gravities on him, kind of crushing him inside. Like,
Yeah.
she's like, you will not mention
You will not
the Grey
mention the Great
Council in my presence again. Yeah. And one detail, by the way, you might have noticed it both on Midnight and the Firing Line, and how Delenn looks in the Gathering. There's like two different makeup designs there.
There's a behind the scenes reason for that, which we will not get into until probably the end of the season. Just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I kind of wanted to talk about it. The one oh hey Net, you're welcome to join us too. I can send you a link,
Yeah.
or if you just wanna talk
So
through
my
comments.
question, if we want to move on from the Gathering into Midnight on the Firing Line, is this: are all Centauri telepathic to some degree because they can see their death in their dreams?
They might be.
I mean, we first learned about this from Londo himself, so it can like what's the word I'm looking for? Like it can be like deciphered that some can, some cannot, in a way, if that makes any sense.
I would think more is that because they can see their deaths, they actually can. But that's like the only bit of psychic ability that they have, is that they can see. I mean, obviously there are telepaths among the Centauri, and believe it or not, they aren't what's this, like, ostracized like they are in the human race. Because I don't know if you
Right.
noticed, but telepaths have to go through like a particular system vis-a-vis the Psi Corps.
Yeah, they either join them or go to prison, or they have to like take this like drug to like
It's basically
contain it.
becoming tranquil in the Dragon Age series.
For anybody Not tonight. It's been a bit since I watched before. That's fine, Nat. Some other night. But basically, it's like the way the drug works is that because it like I probably isolates brain waves and stuff like that. It's probably akin to like a lobotomy, but like slower and more efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she like her, and I know we're talking about what happened when Tolly Winters was talking to Susan Ivanova, and she pretty much mentioned like how the drugs messed with her mom's head to the point it's like we saw the light fade from her eyes until she took her own life.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
And then, of course, we had some casting changes between The Gathering and Midnight on the Firing Line. Most notably, Laurel Takashima is gone, and Ben. Oh my God, what was his name? What was his last name? Benjamin Kyle.
The
Yeah,
doctor.
Dr. Benjamin Kyle. Yeah, we're gonna be getting. You haven't met him yet because I don't think he appears until like season or episode 2 or 3 of season 1. But
Dr. Stephen Franklin.
Yeah, and Susan Ivanova was her replacement. Which, to be real, I don't think the series would have been the same without Claudia Christian involved.
Christensen. Agreed.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Garibaldi, Nick?
Garibaldi.
Mr. Garibaldi. Oh yeah, we've been doing that work back and forth. Mr. Garibaldi.
Mr. Garibaldi.
Mr. Garibaldi. I like Garibaldi.
I say
he's a great character. Yeah, and there's
just the fact that he enjoys Looney Tunes in his spare time. That man is my
his second favorite thing in the universe.
My second. I love how when she read his mind about his second thing, she actually smiled because she's like, "Oh, it might not be so bad to watch Looney Tunes with him."
Oh, that's what he meant. I thought it was.
Yeah, he says, "Okay."
Thing.
It was like my favorite thing in the universe, and then she slugs him, and he's like, "Okay, fine, my second favorite thing in the universe." And then she thinks about it, she's like, that doesn't sound too bad." Just sitting there.
I think I did mention this, but Talia's actress and Jerry Doyle, Garibaldi's actor, were married at one point.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah. There was actually it was like a 2013 thing for Babylon Con. It was before Jerry Doyle and Mira Furlan passed away. They were there. Same with who plays Veer?
Stephen Furst.
Stephen Furst, yeah, he was there too, and he was talking about how like her and Claudia Christian hung out in like a hot tub on one day in set while he was off working somewhere else. She's like, "Yeah, we're here having fun." He's like, "Oh, I'm sure you are."
I guess that's one of the sad things about B5 is just the kind of the whole elephant in the room of half the cast is sadly passed away.
Oh yeah. Like I'm not sure if you knew that, Nick, but like most of the actors in that show are dead.
I noticed that like you mentioned like the main character for the series, like Sinclair, like he was undergoing like he had to leave the show due to like some sort of mental illness that he was like
I think it was schizophrenia. Just
right.
Yeah, he was
watching footage of people that are dead.
And it's supposed to be far into the future. That's what makes it so funny. And so I'm like, oh. And most look at Jerry Doyle and think, oh, discount Bruce Willis, but he was an interesting guy when he was still around.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Andreas Katsulas, who was
yeah,
cancer.
Well, he was a heavy smoker, so that doesn't super duper surprise me.
Yeah.
It's rather unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was also If you ever watched Next Generation, he was the Romulan commander Tomalak.
At some point, I'm gonna have to rewatch that show. But yeah, Midnight on the Firing Line. You know, you had what was the plot? Sorry, I gotta do a quick refresh.
The Narn attacked a Centauri colony on Ragesh
Oh,
3.
right, Ragesh 3, and there's this clear
Londo's
bad
nephew.
blood.
Londo and Jakar are having like a little falling out with one another.
Not just a falling out. They've been pretty much looking for an excuse to start swinging at each other pretty much since B5 went online.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, the Narns, like, their world was decimated, and they were literally once slaves to the Centauri when they were an empire. Not when they're a republic. Republic, they got to be something completely different.
Exactly.
And Kosh had an interesting thing to say about the both of them. They are dying people. We should let them. Who, the Narn or the Centauri?
Yes. Yeah, that's you're going to see that a lot with Ambassador Koshnik, that he's just the most strangely wise yet cryptic sounding character in the series.
Yeah. That scene was just like, okay, he's being cryptic, like vaguely cryptic about his answer.
I mean,
Well,
maybe
like
the
the kind of
Vorlons can see
answer-
the future, but I think what Kosh was really trying to say was that if they continue along the path that they are currently on, then they will both die out.
Yeah, and that just
Exactly.
brings up that says Narn and Centauri talk about a cycle of vengeance. Yeah, and that's actually it won't get addressed now, but that's actually one big issue that gets addressed in this series, and I feel like they address it incredibly well. We'll see when we get there, and then there's obviously there's this tension between Talia and Ivanova. Yeah.
Over the whole
Yeah.
cycle thing.
Yeah, over the
Although I
whole
will
Starcore
say,
thing.
Between the two, the Narn and the Centauri, I feel like at this point I'd be more inclined to trust the Narn than the Centauri.
Well, I can completely understand. First of all, the Narn backed us during our war with the Minbari.
Also, and as far as I remember, the Narn don't have a history of enslaving other races.
Yeah, there is that. But you also have to remember the factor, the way Sinclair called out Jakar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We know a
In
lot
the
about
council
sneak
scene.
attacks.
Beep beep.
Oh wait, no, not this council scene. Sorry.
It's like we know a lot about sneak attacks.
Beep beep. Or no,
Oh, yeah.
I should do it right. Meep meep. There we go.
Beep beep. What sort of
Beep beep. Ricky.
human joke is that? Beep beep. Oh yeah, that is one of the running jokes.
I wonder if the whole Garibaldi liking Looney Tunes thing was cemented back as far as the Gathering.
It would surprise me if it wasn't, because like it might have been a feature either. Do you think Michael came up with it, or do you think Jerry Doyle did?
Probably. I mean, maybe both of them did. I wouldn't be surprised.
Is there a way to get to introduce Babylon 5 to some few people exactly though?
Yeah, tell them to watch it. I've been doing it on Twitter for a while.
Yeah, just recommend it to them. Just like, hey, check this show out. It's good.
Yep. Well,
I mentioned it to like Mook here on Telegram.
And keep an eye out for a couple other actors who are more famous on another science fiction series. But I like that they both kind of have crossover actors between them to kind of show there's no real animosity between the two shows.
Yeah. The animosity is always the network executives. It's always that sort of thing. And I know which episode of season 1 you're looking forward to.
Was Babylon 5 owned by Warner Brothers exactly, or?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Hmm. That's an interesting.
That's how they were able to get away with all the Looney Tunes stuff.
and it baffles my mind that it baffles my mind that it hasn't been on Max in a while.
Yeah, that.
It was on Max, but you can. The best part is you can pretty much find it free on Tubi. For anybody who
Right.
hasn't seen it,
Yeah,
I saw it
it's
on
free with
Daily
ads.
Motion.
Tubi uses the remastered CGI, and I don't know, it looks too upscaled.
You saw it on Daily Motion, Nick? That's interesting.
Yeah, I looked it up, and surprisingly, there were like a lot of episodes available on that website.
Frankly, I'm not even sure, like, because I have it digitally on my Xbox, and I'm not even sure if I'm watching the remaster or the original. But I think, like, as far as dated 90s CG goes, it's all right.
I
Yeah.
mean, it still is in its infancy. It's like,
It reminds me of the Flight Sim Free Space in the best way possible.
Yeah.
gives me bowling alley victory vibes.
Well, here's
And,
here's the thing. Like,
know,
it's because it happens so because it happens so frequently in the show. Like, if you're a constant viewer, it kind of just disappears in the background. You don't even care that it's like old dated 90s CG if you just like watch it and like not care because you're so focused on what's going on in the sets half the time
Yeah,
with the actors. So you're the characters, so it just feels natural basically.
Yeah, and again, like the CGI is still in its infancy back in the day. Like the show was like made before like Toy Story came out. Like that movie came out in 1995. It was like the first ever
Well,
CG animated film. So
when did the first season come out? Was it 1997?
I know
Hold
that
on,
let
the
me see.
pilot
Let
movie
me
came
look
out
at
in
the back of
'93,
my
and then
today.
Oh, it was 95. That's right. That's when the show aired. It was in 95.
Cover 2000. No, it says 2008. That's just the manufacturing date for the box set, probably.
Yeah, but I think the show was 1995, and
could've sworn it was
basically,
94.
yeah, well, yeah, but it could have been 94 going into 95 because I think they started the season like when this started in June when the show was airing or something like that.
something like that.
They showed because they showed like an episode like every other week in the months or something like that. Anyway,
Babylon 5 and the Making of Babylon 5, copyright 1993-1994 PTM Consortium.
But basically, we're also talking about television budget too.
Yeah.
It's not like Disney Pixar. Like the reason Toy Story looks the way it does is because they've got a huge
They got the
Hollywood
big
budget.
bucks.
Yeah, and you're
Also-
talking about like a sci-fi series from the 90s that's
Yeah,
on a
TV
television
show
budget, and it's like
Can I just
TNT,
gush
right?
about how much? Can I just gush about how much I love the way the Star Furies work?
Oh yeah. No, I wasn't initially behind the design my first watch over, but I've come to appreciate it, and I did notice what you're talking about that it even moves kind of like reverse front jets, like aerodynamically, like a good fighter would in space.
Yes, and yeah, that's also pretty much how Free Space operates with its fighters. You can cut power to your you cut power to your engines, but not the dampeners or the thrusters, so you're still moving. So you can shoot behind an enemy, swing around, reactivate your engines, get up right in their face, fire everything you have.
Yeah, no, that's a handy fighter, and that's something I kind of like about the technology of this universe. That it's very realistic in that regard. It's clear that JMS, when he was working on this series, kind of studied the science a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's not going to study every scientific aspect, but
No,
he did study it, which
he
gives
got the stuff that mattered right.
Yeah.
And we were going to have a B5 flight sim in 1996 called B5 Babylon 5 Into the Fire by Sierra Entertainment. They got it mostly finished, and then for whatever reason, Sierra canceled it, and I will never forgive them.
boo.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So
Babylon
it-
5 doesn't have like a lot of tie-in stuff as it is.
Right.
Like you said, there was like a few novels, well, a ton of novels back when it was initially releasing, but most of those are just semi canon, I guess. Except for the last couple of trilogies that were pretty much approved by JMS as official canon. So
Yeah. And also some dedicated modders made a nice little mod for Free Space 2 called the Babylon Project.
based.
I think I've streamed that a couple of times.
Yeah, I remember watching one of them. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it's just getting my ass kicked by Minbari half the time.
I did notice that you pretty much got glassed by Minbari free cell
Well-
that was found.
It kind of makes sense given the lore.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's free on Tubi. Tell that to your friends. Yeah, it's free on Tubi, and Nick just mentioned it's available on Daily Motion.
Yeah.
So
Free
yeah, if you
Space, not free cell.
and I already know a couple of high C websites that had it because I tried to encourage my friend Miriam in Bahrain to watch it. So
Oh crap! I'm probably gonna have to reinstall Free Space Open. Ugh.
oh goody.
That's for another time.
Oh,
But-
goody.
One thing I want to bring up from the Gathering, and because they never use it again, but those stick rifles.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I kind of wish they kept that design. Now, it's nothing against the PPGs, but I kind of wish they kept that design because that was a cool rifle design.
I think I can understand why they didn't to an extent. It's probably partially those props probably were a bit more expensive
Yeah.
to keep.
Yeah,
And then I guess they also wanted to distinguish themselves from Star Trek, which had a phaser and then the phaser rifle.
yeah, I can see why. And plus, Deep Space Nine was coming out around the time, so
Yeah.
yeah, I can see why. Yeah,
Yeah, plus
No,
you have
this
all
is not
the
a this is
makeup,
not a dig on Deep
prosthetics.
Space Nine. I love Deep Space Nine, but
I still haven't seen it. I gotta check it out at some point.
I haven't.
They
I
have
don't
the
think
full
I've seen
series.
Space Nine either.
it's really
Well,
good.
We'll get around to it eventually.
Trek at its
uh,
best.
But
And I even
yeah,
have a soft
like-
spot for Voyager.
like I feel like a lot of the characters, and it's shown in the Gathering as well as oh dang, he'll pop back in. He probably bumped something.
Yeah.
I'll bring him back in if he does. But primarily like in regards to like both the Gathering and in Midnight on the Firing Line, just how strong some of the performances are, in particularly the late great Michael O'Hare.
Yeah, it's Sinclair.
Yeah, in remember in the Gathering he had that that speech, and you could hear sounds in the background with the what happened on the firing line,
Yeah.
or at the line at Earth, and how he got kind of somber about it. And then again, in particular with his speech to Jakar, where he's like pretty much calling him out. I'm like, the performances are incredibly strong, and it's something I never noticed first time around watching that I noticed other times. I'm like, wow, this guy is tough as nails. He's not
And-
like aggressive, tough as nails, but he's tough as nails. Like he does not back down easily.
He is calm but firm.
Yeah, and it does make me wonder if Michael O'Hare wasn't suffering from mental illness, how the show would have gone
Right.
I do
from
have
that
some
point.
behind the scenes information about how it would have gone if
Oh,
Michael
do you?
O'Hare remained. I won't talk about them now, but I mean, let's just say JMS's initial plans for the show were very ambitious, and all things considered, I think I'm much more happier with what we ended up getting.
Oh
But we
yeah,
can talk
and
about that later.
I've told Nick about I haven't talked to him, but I've told Nick about Sheridan.
Yeah.
We'll get to John Sheridan when we start season 2 because man, as much as I loved Sinclair, I love Sheridan even more.
Did he tell you who plays Sheridan?
I did show him who played Sheridan. It was
Bootleg
Bruce
Sheridan?
Boxleitner.
Captain Tron.
Oh yeah.
Or if you prefer, or for you Spec Ops The Line players among you, John Conrad.
Colonel
Oh,
John
God.
Conrad.
Wait, that's
He
the
actually
same
made
actor,
he actually
or-
made that joke when I was streaming it because he wanted to watch me play through it. And when have you played Spec Ops The Line, Nick?
You know, I've heard about it. I never got to it, but I want to give it a shot.
Okay,
I have the Xbox copy, so he can come over at some point and I can have him play it.
Okay,
Just to see how.
I won't say anything specific about it. Then that there was a scene where Nazo just went on a full improv of just subbing Conrad for Sheridan.
I can't
Yeah.
even remember what I said. That's
You
what's
said,
so funny.
you were like Garibaldi, Jakar, Londo, Delenn. I had to do it. I had to kill them all.
I had to do it. I had to kill them all.
It's just like
They
I
could
was just
never
imagining,
understand what I was trying to accomplish here.
I'm just imagining that actually happening in a bad timeline where spoiler tag goes here.
By the way, in there's a story Nick's writing. I won't talk about it too much, but it's like end of the world scenario type thing. How Sheridan sounds is how I imagine my character in that universe, Harmy, sounds.
Oh god, yeah.
When you get there, you'll see exactly why I'm like. Because I know you had a similar type Chris voice with like Carver from the Walking Dead games.
Similarly, yeah.
Yeah.
The Telltale one, right?
Yeah. Carver's like, you don't want to test me, girl. I'll pass every time.
Oh, you'll pass, all right. Pass gas. And
All
Oh.
right.
Stinkers.
Any particular moments from the show you want to talk about? Any particular from the Midnight on the Firing Line?
Where do I even begin?
oh boy.
Yeah, because as far as like that midnight episode goes, like to me personally, I find it to be a lot stronger than the Gathering episode. Like, don't
Well,
get me wrong,
yeah.
the Gathering was good, but I find like the midnight episode to like be a lot stronger than its predecessor.
Oh, I know, but
Agreed.
like, what would like? Is there any particular performance you want to talk about? Like something from that Londo said, something that
Any
Garibaldi or
plot-related questions that you have which we can't answer?
I don't know. It's something I gotta have to think about. Because there's just like a lot of moments. Because like I know
he's
that
he's
like
very early into the show, so he doesn't have a lot of questions. But
yeah,
the
because
more
We'll
he
just have
gets
to watch
into
more
it,
of it, won't we?
yeah, the more he gets into it. But like one performance that I really did like was when, and I'm sure Dick will agree with here, when Sinclair was talking to Londo, and he had that whole thing about his nephew, like that
yeah,
heartfelt thing, like. He's like, if he's like, my nephew was like, I was afraid for him. I didn't want him to just go into the military, so he sent him on a safe job on a
And,
colony world.
yeah.
and the one that just so happened to get attacked.
Like the
Yeah, Ragesh 3.
coincidence.
It's more than coincidence, it almost feels like fate's kind of mocking him in that regard, and
I think the Narn knew.
yeah, they had to have known.
Mitra?
And he's pretty much says like, if my nephew dies, there will be blood. I swear it. Like, and the
He
reason
said
why
something
it's
along the lines of like blood has to be paid with blood or something like that.
yeah. Well, he's like, He's like, it doesn't. It's like it's not peace or whatever. It's blood. That's what everybody really wants.
It's
Is what they want.
blood.
But like, I can kind of understand where he's coming from, not just as an ambassador of that planet, but like,
But as like an
as,
individual.
well, as an uncle who thought he was sending his nephew on a safe planet job because he was scared for him,
Yeah,
only to find out he may very well have sent him to his death because the Narn attacked.
yeah, Londo and Jakar are like two of the characters that just stood out in that episode, just based on their like history between the races and basically the rivalry that they have with one another. Where as soon as like Jakar found out about it and like Londo confronts him about it, Jakar's just like, "Oh yeah, I know about it. So what?"
Yeah, and it's
Like he's
you have
just so
to
casual about it. Like,
you, you have to remember the dream Londo has. He's like, what, like I imagined myself, my hands around a Narn's throat and a Narn's hands around mine. We're killing each other. He's like, the moment
yeah,
I met Jakar, I
That
knew
was the
then
one.
that was the one.
that was the guy in my dream.
Yeah, and it's again, it's a prophetic dream because most of the times when Centauri see their death, they know that's how it's going to go down. And he almost, if Garibaldi hadn't stopped him, he'd almost intervened on that appointment.
Yeah.
Like because he was like, "Would you really have killed me?" So yes, I would have, but I'm just as glad I didn't have to.
Well,
Too
it
much
seems
paperwork
I
in
am
it.
on appointment for 20 years from now.
I am still on my scheduled appointment. 20 years. Which also brings up the fact that you said he was narrating. It's from one of the books, right?
Yes, that bit at the beginning of the gathering, I was there at the dawn of the third age of mankind. Light spoilers, he is narrating that near the end of his life.
That kind of makes sense considering like what was it? He mentioned that he was emperor in his dream too. So
Yes.
you're gonna see a couple scenes, Nick, in some of the other movies and shows of him being the emperor of Centauri Prime.
Okay.
That's at least like a future that's kind of set in stone for him.
Yeah.
So it's look forward to that because there's deeper plot line there.
Yeah.
We are
think
all
like
pawns in this war without end.
Yeah, I think like another scene that really stood out was like during the council meeting where they were about to like put up sanctions against the Narn, and like Jakar had to like come in and like explain like, oh, the only reason why this happened was because of a conflict that happened like years ago, and like
Yeah,
Dellen, like one of
I
the
believe a full
counselors,
century ago, even.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, literally a century. And Dellen just like basically calls him out and says like, um, hey, you know, this happened like a century ago. Borders are already made, like, and everything's already established. So what's the point of starting a conflict based on what happened over a century ago? Because it's just a waste of time.
Well, it's based on vengeance, and
That'd
despite
be
what Jakar said in the meeting, it was based on vengeance.
that'd be
He's
like
clear.
Justice.
that'd be like if
Yeah.
if the British suddenly decided, "Hey, give us our colonies back."
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that scene like drove me like into like real world politics that are happening right now, but we're not gonna get into that because
yeah.
Please don't.
messy stuff. No.
No, the show does echo real life, and not just in some modern political fields. Uh, there was an aspect in season 4 that actually blew me away on how accurate it is.
We'll get to that when we get to season 4.
Oh yeah,
but, like, that
you'll
scene-
see when we get there.
Yeah, but that scene overall like really stuck out to me. in terms of
So-
like how it's how relatable it is in like today's world and like past events and all that.
Well, here's the thing, Nick. That sort of stuff has been happening over history. So what we think is important now has already happened in the past, and it's already been over different borders and different lines.
Right.
And that's kind of the message of this show. It's like when does the violence between peoples who have like previous grudges, when does that actually end?
Yeah, when is it gonna be over? Like when are you guys gonna
When is enough blood has been
like
spilled?
when
When
are
is
you
enough?
guys gonna be done at each other's throats?
Yeah, and that
So-
you'll see in the later seasons just how well that show pushes that message in a good way.
Uh-huh.
So, Nick,
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer we're going to be on, but I'm going to ask you this now.
Okay.
Are you in this for the long haul? All 5 seasons, all the TV movies, and the Crusade spinoff?
I mean, so far, based on what I've seen, I'm starting to get a little more invested. So I think I'd like to spend a lot more time checking this series out. And based
Excellent.
on like some of the clips that Nazo has been showing me, I just thought, you know what? Let's give this show a shot because it's actually
Alrighty.
pretty good.
The
Alrighty,
clips I showed him mostly involve Sheridan, so
Well, we'll have to figure out a time to start the next couple episodes.
yeah. Well, what I was going to ask is one thing we should definitely figure out, at least establish, is how many episodes are we going to be doing per stream after?
That's a good question.
I figure at least between 2 and 3 episodes
That sounds
Sounds
fair.
per
about
stream.
right.
Because that's at least pretty fair balance, and then we'll take a particular stream for like a really good movie or a really good episode, and we'll stretch
Yeah,
that one out because that
I think the TV movies should get their own streams, like one for Third Space, one for River of Souls, yada yada.
oh
yada.
yeah, no, those movies alone have like stuff to talk about because of how good. And there's some, again, I when I first watched them, completely blown away because I'm like, this is probably just going to be a nothing side movie. I'm like, oh no, there's a deep
No.
message here that I didn't
This
spot
is
before.
important.
This is actually important. Yeah.
And one of them contains your most favorite character in the entire show as a
Wait, which-
hologram.
Wait, which one?
River of Souls.
Oh, oh my god! Oh god! Don't bring her into it, please. Don't bring her.
I'm gonna regret
We'll,
knowing this character, aren't I?
I definitely regret knowing her to some degree. She earned a little respect near the end of the series for me, but for the most part, I do not like this character.
Oh,
I
wow.
just like trolling him. I just like
Yeah,
trolling him.
he does. Like I like the actress. She was very nice, very kind. From
Yeah.
what I've heard, like she's just completely nice, wonderful lady. But the character she plays is a jerk. So
Yeah,
as far as
actors
I'm,
are really good at playing jerks. It's like they could be like the nicest people in the world, and then like the characters that they play, they're just like, oh my god, I want to strangle
like-
him.
Like Joe Kukin, who plays Kane in CNC, is actually a pretty chill dude.
that sounds about right. Yeah, like you've got some actors that are like I was referring to Where to Find Beef. Yeah, I get you. But you've got some actors that like they play the nicest people, but they're like horrible. And then the exact opposite with some actors, they play like the worst possible people, and they're like super wholesome in real life. They're like, hey, I appreciate that you like my
Literally.
character. Like,
CNC has some great outtakes with Joe Kukin as Kane. All right, well, I don't really have anything else to add other than I'm glad you're on board with the show, and I look forward to watching more.
Oh yeah,
Thumbs up
it's
for-
so
Oh, yeah,
far,
no,
like
Show.
well,
Yeah,
one aspect, because my dad's been sitting here the entire time listening, and I got him into the show, and I want him to join us on some of these streams just to
Absolutely,
and-
the more the
Nice.
merrier.
the more the and Netcat too, if he's ever interested.
And
He
I do wonder if I could invite some few furry friends, but I don't know.
I mean, if they're interested in getting into the show, CT, and they want to watch it and are like, yes, let's do it. They're more than welcome to pop on too.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically my overall thoughts, the gathering and like the midnight episode, they're strong starts for the series, and I'm actually looking
Yeah.
forward to checking out more and seeing how the series
There's
progresses from then.
there's going to
From
be
there.
some episodes that are going to like kind of again, they're questions that they bring up. Sometimes they bring up answers, sometimes they don't, and they're deep questions that make you wonder, wow, what if that happened? You know, so
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah, it
And
gets
I'll
you
just
thinking.
say one other thing real quick. Susan Ivanova is among my favorite characters on the entire show.
oh,
And
she's fantastic.
There's a particular episode that's later on in season 1. Look forward to that one. It's called TKO. I have things to say about Ivanova specifically in that one.
Oh yeah. Personally, as much as I love the scenes in that one, I also really love the type of Karate Kid vibe it has. The Muay Thai.
I have my main issues with that episode are the way that those two scenes are kind of edited between.
Yeah, no, that particular episode, it's a little disorienting. They should have spliced the fight, and then the emotional scene separate times. They should those should have been completely separate times because
Yes.
it's
Again, we'll talk about that in greater detail when we get to the actual episode.
oh yeah. So which ones are next? I gotta look up a quick
Hold on a
episode
minute.
summary.
I have
I'm guessing
the
you.
disc in front of me right now.
Yeah.
Okay, we have next. The rest of disc 1 is Soul Hunter, Born to the Purple, and Infection.
Oh gee, like Soul Hunter is a decent one. Born to the Purple, is that the episode that I think it is?
The one with Londo? Yes.
No, I was wondering if it's the the other meme that we joke about.
Protect.
Okay, no. I was thinking of the centuries long conflict that Ivanova solves. But
Oh no, that's not until season 2.
okay, because that is a good episode.
Yes, and then and I can't wait to get to that one because finally the jokes I've been making will make sense to him.
Oh yeah.
It will make you simply green with envy.
Or purple with joy. I don't know a color that matches purple, but so yeah. Thanks for coming on,
Usually if you turn
guys.
purple, it means you have a lack of oxygen, and you should really get that looked at.
But yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. I hope we can do this again real soon and talk more. Just
Sure.
nerd out about a great series.
Oh yeah.
Or nerd about anything.
All right, later, guys.
Have a
Yeah,
good
right.
one.
All right, you too.